Good Saturday evening, everyone. This is Charlie, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. We have a lot to go over looking into the future here. Some interesting signals are showing up on our model guidance that we need to look into, and I'm sure plenty of you out here saying, oh, come on, we got to do this again. And we do. The winter is not over, guys, and we got a lot to discuss. We've had a major winter storm unfold today, including down here in my neck of the woods. The storm is still ongoing. As you can see, this is the last hour of observed radar all stitched together here. And you can still see freezing rain, sleet, and snow ongoing here. It's just finishing off and getting going in areas of the northeast, but it's leaving areas of the mid-Atlantic and the Ohio Valley behind. And we're really getting some heavy snow up in these areas. So we're going to get into this. Like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you've not done so already. Please leave a comment of a few things. What you received with this last system, if you were affected. Where you're watching from. That's greatly appreciated. And any other things you'd like to comment. This is a relatively new channel. Any constructive criticism would be greatly appreciated as well. So we're going to get right into it here. Just take a brief look at the observations here before we get into models. So obviously you see a very broad snow shield getting up here into areas of the northeast. Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, down here into Long Island here. Although models were kind of right in a sense that areas like New York and central New Jersey here, New York City rather, and central New Jersey could have switched to a mix, and they were right about that. You're not getting rain in these areas though, I don't think, but I think this is picking up on it pretty well. We have freezing rain still ongoing down here, just getting past Columbia over towards Florence area. Right here you see in South Carolina. It's getting into eastern areas of North Carolina, and this is kind of like a band of thunderstorms. Just treat it like that. I'm going to leave it here on the latest frame. So yeah, this is the latest, and I did not lose power. And the only reason I did not make a video this morning was because I wanted to enjoy this event a little bit. We got a ton of sleet in this area, so we're going to go over that here right now. So I circled the main areas that received a lot of freezing rain here, and so a lot of these areas did what they were supposed to do. But this circle here, over to the western areas here, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, up into central and western Tennessee, Oxford, Mississippi. What I want you to do now, I don't have it pulled up, just Google that city, Oxford, Mississippi, and you will find videos that have been posted from there. Storm chasers have been through there. It is terrible in that region. I mean, we're talking over an inch of freezing rain fell pretty quickly. Lots of trees are just snapped off at the top half. That's pretty bad, guys. If you didn't already know, if you haven't already heard, these areas got decimated in here. I mean, I could zoom in, but this entire more areas than this got a lot of freezing rain. But this, I mean, areas up in here, I think specifically, just really got hammered with freezing rain. And you got exactly what modeled. Now, what about areas further to the east? It's kind of one of those question areas, right? Down kind of in here. What did we get? I live right in that smaller circle there. So it's right dead in the center of it. And we got late into last night. And there was some misting, like freezing mist. But it was a lot of sleet. You could feel it. You could hear it. And that continued overnight. So we woke up with less than 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain on all surfaces. And then we had almost 1.5 inches, 2 inches of sleet on the ground by the time we woke up about 7 or 8 a.m. That's enough to sled in. I mean, I enjoyed that. Rode my ATV around in it and all that. We ended up getting 3 to 3.5 inches of sleet at my house. I don't know if that was widespread or not. We'll see as the reports come in. But man, it was a lot of sleet, and we ultimately got a lot of our moisture taken up as sleet, just kind of like what we were talking about as a possibility. Now, don't get me wrong. This band here of freezing rain was at one point, back here. It's moved off to the east. And We were outside during that and paying attention. We already had several large limbs fall off trees. I've seen those, but uh, I'm not sure. We're obviously we still have power. You can see lights on the background here, and I don't know. We might keep it. We might, if it gets breezier this evening and into the overnight hours, there's a good chance we lose it because some of these trees are really, really drooping, guys. Especially these pines don't do well with a lot of freezing rain on them. But nevertheless, not to yap too much, please let me know what you got, where you're at. That would be helpful. And it's just cool, right? You know, you can see what everyone got, see how you compared to other areas. But we got saved. I really do think we did here because we were expecting a crippling ice storm. We still haven't even lost power yet. So that exceeded my expectations. So we're going to get into some model guidance here. We have 4 main models pulled up here for this map here, just the precipitation map. So I'm going to show you, we're going to get past this system. This is the GFS from this afternoon. And, you know, other than some clipper action, lake effect snows, nothing really is going on until we get into here. This, I gotta scroll up just a little bit. This right here is getting into Saturday morning, this coming Saturday, about a little bit less than a week away, 6 days away. And we have a lot going on in the southern areas, right? There's a low out over the Atlantic, a lot of moisture down here in the Gulf. My head might be in the way. Let's just move this on in time here. The GFS misses. It's not been missing, though. There have been several runs it didn't. But even notice there's kind of some snow very close to the mid-Atlantic states here, and you're getting into the outer banks of North Carolina, for example. I'm going to preface all of this model guidance that we're going to look at here. Before I do that, this is the last. We have some interesting things showing up at or past 10 days, so who knows with that. But this kind of event here, if you live in the areas that got absolutely screwed, right down in here, and other areas too, plenty of other areas, for snow. We end up with either rain, severe storms, or a lot of freezing rain. If you got screwed from the last system and you're frustrated, dude, there's plenty of people that are mad. I've seen the comments on other people's videos. People just nasty comments about meteorologists coming up, and I hate to see it, but I understand the frustration. But this is what you want to see. You want to see this low well out over the ocean and not much happening, because do you remember what happened? If you don't have a short-term memory loss here, you'll remember that we started off these areas with a lot of snow. And then the areas ended up getting it were up here. So we trended it north and west. That's what happens every time, nearly. So you want this to start way out here and then trend to the northwest in the last few days leading up to it, so that you get something big to happen down here. Obviously, there are plenty of other areas that, I mean, down here, some of these areas didn't get much snow, more freezing rain, or just severe storms. We had tornado warnings today. I didn't see many reports of tornadoes, nevertheless. So this is not a bad look here. What about, since there's nothing to show, what about the Euro? The Euro does something a little different here. We get this going, and let's reload it. So being a little bit slow here. Do that. And there are internet issues. I've noticed that internet's a little slower than usual. Could be for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of ice on these lines right now, but let's get this out here. And then here it is. This is getting into, you know, Saturday night. So pretty similar time frame. And you can see from these blue lines here, this is our cold air, very aggressively diving down here. And then we see a low, even further offshore here. This is probably out near Bermuda, actually. If my head's in the way, I apologize. But you can see that, you know, the Euro, this is the 12Z, kind of, it didn't do a whole lot with snow. It's similar to the GFS. But there's something there. Again, you want this to start here, so when it trends, we saw the last system trend about 200 to 250 miles to the north and stay there. So if this does that to the north and west, 250 miles, that puts a lot of areas in the mid-Atlantic, deep South states, and a lot of snow. So there is that. There's something here. I don't know if it's gonna load quick enough, but let's look at a run not long. Yeah, so I mean, already right off the bat here, you can see this is a few runs ago, and there's some snow. It's a little bit closer. The low is a little bit less amplified. Yeah, definitely slower. We're gonna have to battle that internet for sure. There's noticeable issues, but that's to be expected, right? We just had a major winter storm. Nonetheless, that's the. I'll just show you the latest here, and yeah, definitely something to watch, right? So what about our AI guidance? So we use AI. One thing AI is good at, rather, is pattern recognition. So it might we don't know, but we're assuming that AI will be able to sniff out a pattern faster than our other global model guidance would, because it's very good at pattern recognition. So what about this? This is the 18Z GFS AI model. So we run this out in time here. What does it do? We get out here. This is all we have. Well, kind of. Again, with the internet. I hope that this is not going to fight us too much. Maybe not. So yeah, we get this out here a little bit. So it's like, where's our time frame? It's right in here. So the GFS AI agrees. Moisture, right? Moisture down here in the Gulf, moisture over the Atlantic, the Caribbean. And the cold air, you can see by these blue lines, is close, but it's not here yet. So it's a miss on the GFS AI. But again, if you trend, the cold air is here. So if you trend the moisture up into it, well, you can put two and two together and figure out what that does, right? It's wintertime. It's gonna equal some sort of frozen precipitation here. And this will be a sensitive topic for some people, because there are plenty of people out there who absolutely hate the guts of meteorologists, and there are other people who don't even have internet access to check what's going on because they lost power. There's people who there's people who didn't have a home to begin with, and then it's going to get down below freezing. This is a sensitive topic, but we can't ignore a signal here, and that we're seeing that. We see a lot of precipitation, and it's falling in cooler air, and it's wintertime, so you have to put two and two together. So even though it's kind of a miss, we have nearly a week to trend this any given direction, and it's almost always to the north and west. What about the Euro AI? This has been around a little bit longer, not by a whole lot, but it has been around longer. Let's just reload this and give it a chance here. So we move this on in time here, and the Euro AI does something interesting. It's a little bit later, but don't focus too much on time. It's the weekend, Saturday into Sunday, and we have a low out here. It's one of the stronger lows. Big slug of moisture here. And then we have some mix up on the northern sides, and we do have some sort of smaller scale snow event for the Carolinas, the Southern Appalachians, maybe even as far south as Augusta, Georgia, for example. And it even gets into the Midlands of South Carolina and the sandhills of North Carolina here, and then it kind of amplifies and goes up the coast. And then we have other things to talk about afterwards. But the Euro AI, like right in this time frame here, this is getting into Saturday evening. Again, you can see it. The cold air, that's agreed upon, right? We can see this cold air that is diving down aggressively from the north. And you see this push of moisture in the south. And that, if they meet together, we get what we had today. And I don't think we're going to see that kind of scale in a long time from now. That's a very rare event. But at the same time, the concept is the same. So that's the Euro AI. How about some snowfall graphics? Right? So what are we looking at? This is the Euro ensemble from this morning. The 18Z, I might pull that up on the fly, by the way, if it's loaded in. But the 18Z Euro, I already know it's on some other sites. It was even better. It dropped a lot more, significantly more snow in areas of the Carolinas, kind of, right in here, for example. But this is the Euro ensemble, one of the most reliable things you can look at in this range. And we've got, anywhere from 1 to 2 inches for a snowfall average of a 51 member ensemble here from, Charleston, South Carolina, all the way up to Washington, D.C., and then up the coast, with higher areas along the, I don't know why it started zooming in faster, but nevertheless, areas of like the Outer Banks. There's 2 inches showing up. So take this blob here, right? And I'll circle the heaviest. And you trend this like this. Where is it going to end up? We can't tell. And for areas further to the south, you want this blob to be like here. And then you want it to trend north. And we might see that. I think the Euro ensemble, the 18Z run, we won't have access to it. See, this only runs 12 and 0Z. But regardless, I know it's going to show more because its operational did, and that it has to follow it somewhat. So what about the GFS ensemble here? This is a 31-member ensemble. Some people say 28, some people say 31. I'm just going to say 31. But again, here's our kind of our signal here, and this looks a lot more like what I just said we wanted to see. This kind of elongated, so you would trend this to the north and west. And where's it going to end up, right? Is that going to end up to where these areas get the most? I don't know. Not a forecast, but it's possible. And again, we have similar totals here, 1 inch to 2 inches, some areas. So intensity-wise, we have some agreement there. I think I already pulled it up, so I think we can go to the next one. Yeah, so this is the GFS, the operational GFS. And obviously this stuff up here to the north is from this event ongoing and other lake effect snows. So it keeps the majority of the snow offshore here. This is the main axis, keeps it offshore a little bit. But, we do get some light stuff in here. This might have been associated with the other event. Let me change this to here. I'll have to figure out exactly where this would be. Yeah, so this is the signal in that time frame. So yeah, we have something. It's agreement. It's not a flashy run necessarily, but some of these areas would be happy to get this much snow. So how about the operational Euro? So this is through the event. We'll show you the smaller time frame in a second. Obviously, this stuff up here has nothing to do with this event we're talking about. And again, all this stuff out over the ocean here likely has to do with this event as it rolls up the coast. But this and some of this inland stuff here is from this event. So that is something to keep in mind. And I will go back 2 runs. Showed a lot more. That doesn't mean we're downtrending. Don't look at that and say, oh my goodness, we're downtrending it. No, but what I want you to get from that is we've had consistency. Let me go back 2 more. So it's gone away. So we're starting to see this more recently here. This is the latest run. So again, if you trend this axis of snow north and west, who knows what you're going to get, right? I sure don't, and I'm not going to pretend I do. So that's why we look at model guidance. And so what do we have next? So we're going to dive into the pattern that might support this or might not here. I'm going to select the 12Z so we can actually understand everything here. So I'm going to just go through this here. This is our mid and upper level geopotential height anomaly here. So what this really is, fundamentally, is just blues, like you see here, lower pressure. Reds that you see in this salmon pink colored here are higher pressure, warmer air. And so what you want to see, ideally, you want a ridge spiking out west, kind of like this, all the way up into Alaska. You want positive values, these reds, all up in the higher latitudes. Preferably, you want a ridge spiking in this way. And then you want a trough digging down somewhere in here. So I know it's a lot on your screen, and I'll get it off. So let's just move this on in time here. So what are we going to see? So we move this on. This is getting towards later this week. And what do we see? This is the Euro ensemble, by the way. This is not an operational normal run here. And we get into Saturday, and what do we see? A very obvious trough sitting here. Just poised, digging down to the south here, with a ridge out west. Some higher latitude blocking. Ridging over Alaska, right? Isn't that favorable? It is. And we have something going on here with a piece of energy dislodged from the higher latitudes. So we see this and we look, and that's a decent signal for some low pressure. It's a pretty strong signal for some sort of storm system to be rolling through and cooler temperatures. So we move this on here. It kind of sticks around as we get into Monday. So this might be a multi-day thing. Hard to tell. And then we really get an aggressive ridge spike out west over areas of Canada. And yeah, so this is, we saw some troughing over the eastern U.S. here as we get out towards the end of the run, and the end of the run looks like this. This is a very favorable look. We have our high latitude blocking making its presence known here, and then we have some sort of ridging out west, and then kind of digging up into Alaska here, and then Arctic air and this bowl-shaped trough just diving down. So for the eastern and southeastern U.S., this is a very favorable look here. That's all I'm going to say. So what about temperatures? This is the Euro Ensemble temperature anomaly. So obviously this is starting right about now. You can see, and we Arctic air mass moves in. By Monday morning into Tuesday, we'll see single digits across these areas you see in this pink color, especially the areas, I think it's picking up well on the areas that have the most sleet and snowpack. We might well get below zero in some of these areas, so please stay safe and stay warm in these areas. But we continue this on here, and these cooler anomalies just kind of stick around. They don't go anywhere. And, this is, I might have to change runs here. This is the latest run. As we're getting into Saturday, this is Saturday afternoon. And look at these temperatures, guys. We have very cold temperatures in this area. This is January. You don't need these temperatures to be down here at the bottom of the color scale, even though you might not be able to see it. My head's in the way. Now it shouldn't be. You see this negative 28 on the color scale. You don't need that. It's wintertime. So these purples, these pinks and purples that you see will definitely get the job done for cooler air. Let's look at what the actual temperature is in some of these areas. So at this time, our freezing line goes like this, but it's pretty far to the south. So areas, and say near the Outer Banks into the North Carolina, Virginia, and then northern South Carolina here, these regions right in here, if any precipitation's falling, it's going to be falling frozen. So this is not the time and the range to decide whether it's freezing rain or sleet or snow and any of that. Just we're looking for signals. So as far as I know, that's all I have when it comes to that. So I'm going to go here and see if the 18Z is running. I'm going to see if it will let me actually use the 18Z here. It might not. The internet is not a huge fan today. So we only have 90 hours. Dang it. That's a shame. So we can't do any better than this. This is the latest run. I'm going to look here just to see if it shows up. The 18Z is running. Oh, it's run. Okay. Well, never mind then. I have to zoom this in here, so let's just take a little bit of a breather here. Let's look at this, the eastern U.S. So, yeah, this is the operational Euro, what it's showing, but look at this trough. Man, that's a very impressively strong and neutrally tilted signal here. Just digging straight down. It's not digging like this. It's not digging like this. It's digging straight down here. Man, that's a very strong signal. I hadn't seen the operational run. Anyway, not to get distracted here, let's look at this. Yeah, so just as we thought, just as I was mentioning, we have much more of a signal here, and the low is closer, as in it's under like 200 miles offshore. So, that's not an exact number. When we take this out to the end, and it's starting to ride up the coast here. So this gets going here, getting into early Saturday morning. Just after midnight, snows for several hours. Very cold. Based off of the Euro here, our temperatures look like this. So it's well cooler than the Euro Ensemble, and you wouldn't be shocked to see that, right? Our freezing line, the entire area here is freezing or below in a lot of areas in the 20s and teens. So that most likely it would be falling as snow, not some sort of mixed precipitation. But areas of the Outer Banks here, you're above freezing, you're near the low. So on this run, so the low's kind of driving up into your area here. That's the last frame we have, but this is definitely a bigger run. I don't think it has any sort of, yeah, it doesn't have a snow accumulation, unfortunately, but it's a few to several inches across the regions highlighted in blue here. So that's a signal. But again, you don't want this. I know you might be thinking I'm absolutely insane. You don't want it to look like this at this range, because what you're going to end up getting, if our low, let's use this. If our low is right here, right? At this range away, 6 to 7 days away, I know, 6, 7, we can throw this back up here or just due north. It doesn't really matter the exact direction. And we end up with what we just did, where southern areas here get mostly just, areas like this just get more freezing rain or just normal rain or nothing at all if you trend it so far. So you almost don't want to see the Euro like this. It's cool to see runs, but, just you want to be careful with what you wish for in an instance like this. And I'm going to, just because I'm curious, it got me curious here. Yeah, so I just took this near my house. So you can see up here in the central areas of your screen here where the map is, just upstate South Carolina near where I live. This 0 degrees Celsius line that kind of goes up like this, that is freezing in the atmosphere. That's the freezing line that goes all the way up miles in the atmosphere. It starts at 22 and the entire profile goes to the left side of that line, which means it's all below freezing. This would be a heavy snow sounding. So the atmosphere is primed for heavy snow in this instance. So I'm not going to continue yapping on this. I mean, we could talk about this all day. It's a good look. It is. But we want to be careful what we wish for when it comes to trending this thing north, because we got an insane trend north last time that verified. So that's all I have for you. Stay tuned for the next one. I don't have any idea whether we'll keep power overnight, but if so, I should be able to get a video out tomorrow at some point. So tune into that. Make sure when you hit the subscribe button, you have the option to use notifications. I would turn those on just because I can't guarantee you when I will post, so it'll let you know. And with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.